5 minutes. That's all I need. These are things I wish I knew before I started playing Rivals, and then maybe my win rate wouldn't be so cooked. Basically, I have a lot of past experiences with Rivals, and there's quite a few things I wish I knew early on. These game tips and gimmicks should take your general skill level from like silver to diamond almost instantly, I promise. If you're already there still, this should help. Stick out to the very end where I'll reveal something that even most pros don't know about. Tip 1. Patience. The first tip is that when you're playing Rivals, it's pretty obvious that this is a fast-paced game, but that doesn't mean you need to rush it. Up until very recently, when I started playing Siege, I'd always try to execute the rounds as quickly as possible. I would take drastic peeks and unnecessary shots that wouldn't land, and it cost me a lot of wins. I'd also push when I didn't need a push, and that also cost me a lot of wins. But once I slowed down and took more time, I ended up improving my gameplay a lot. Trust me, it helps. To activate this in-game for yourself, try thinking about where you're going, where your opponent is going, and when the best time to peek is. Tip 2, few settings. There's a few settings that you should have turned on and off. I'll make this quick because most people already know about these. Optimize lighting, have that on. Optimize textures, have that off. Optimize wraps, up to you. Field of view should be 100 or lower because higher FOV, it just doesn't, you don't need it. Gameplay effects should be off. Camera shake should be off. Hide muzzle flashes should be on. Damage flashing should be on outline because then you can see through smoke when you hit someone and not be completely blinded by a red flash. Also, you guys wanted a settings reveal, so here they are. I also use 800 mouse DPI and 0.133 camera sensitivity in Roblox. Tip 3. Keeping track of your opponent. Okay, so in the first tip I mentioned keeping track of your opponent, but I didn't really break it down. This might be one of the most important things to do in Rivals, as it's the difference between a noob and a nemesis. Knowing where your opponent is automatically gives you an advantage, as you can see by the amount of ESP cheats there are. If you can predict where they're going, not only can you make an amazing peek, but you can also stop them from medkitting, or grenade them, or even trap them in an unwinnable situation. Catching your opponent off guard will usually give you the win, unless you whiff, which I respect. How to keep track of your opponent? Watch how they move and where they go. If they're constantly scything up to the same wall at the start of the round every time, shouldn't you know where they're going? You can use that to hit good nades or shoot before them, which is also a good advantage. Listen for their audio cues. Don't blast your audio to max, but definitely listen where their warhorn is going or their sliding and footsteps. Listen for anything, even weapon switching. Time your angles. You can gain a crazy advantage if your opponent peeks where you're already waiting for them. Swift revealed a secret setting which you have to have off, which is optimized textures, because all the different materials make different sounds, but if you're on optimized textures, it's all the same. You can listen to what material your opponent is walking on to predict where they are and execute more accurate peeks. Alright, this one is pretty simple, but I see a lot of people with potential doing this, so I'll make it short. You need to pay attention to movement when you're shooting. Next time you take a 1v1, try and focus a little bit less on your aim and try to make movement subconscious. That's all I have to say. And finally, for the final tip, which some pros don't even realize, is that tracking is pretty mid in this game. Yeah, you heard me, the guy who got Diamond AR and sucks at it. Tracking in Rivals is not the meta. If you ever see a top-level player like Swift or Jake, you basically never see them use AR, and the reason why is that trying to track your opponent is basically impossible if they have good movement. Take this for example. See how I'm sliding around and barely taking any damage? It's almost humanly impossible to react to this movement speed and track it perfectly. You see, the average human reaction speed is hella slow at around 270 milliseconds. My rough estimate for this motion track is about 150 milliseconds off slide, which isn't too bad for some people. I personally have a reaction time of about 176 milliseconds, so it isn't hard to lock back onto them after they wall slide. But if they consistently do the sliding mechanic, it becomes much harder to react and your aim ends up looking like mine did against Froppy. And to further press this, peeking and playing angles, which is something basically all pros do, makes it twice as difficult to do damage with AR. Imagine this, there is an auto-shooting sniper behind a wall who knows your location and is about to peek to shoot you. You have an AR and very good aim, but they have a sniper. If they hit you for 50, and say they peek for about 200 milliseconds, and hide behind the wall again, for you to match the damage, you would have to react in 160 milliseconds and hit at least 4 shots, or just cheat. You need tracking, it's vital, but you don't want to rely on tracking-based weapons to win. This is why you see some of the best players using burst, sniper, crossbow, even RPG and shotgun. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching.